Walter Giardina is now gone. We got this firing letter that was coming across at 5 o'clock Friday from Kash Patel. This document provides official notice that you are being summarily dismissed from your position at the FBI and removed from the federal service under my authority as the FBI director, effective immediately. I got prison, he got fired. Time to investigate his weaponized ass. FBI agents are freaking out. We saw that several firings occurred, including this fella here. Walter Giardina is now gone. And we got this firing letter that was coming across at 5 o'clock Friday at August 8th, 2025 from Kash Patel. Officially, Walter Giardina, not a good hombre, somebody who was highly involved in prosecuting Peter Navarro, and Navarro's not happy about his existence, or wasn't happy about his existence for quite some time now. This was the firing letter from Kash Patel. It said, "Hey, dear Walter, this document provides official notice that you are being summarily dismissed from your position at the FBI and removed from the federal service under my authority as the FBI director, effective immediately. You have exercised poor judgment and a lack of impartiality in carrying out duties, leading to the political weaponization of the government. So, pursuant to Article 2 of the United States Constitution and the laws of the United States, your employment with the Federal Bureau of Investigation is hereby terminated. If applicable, you may have a right to file an appeal of this removal, though, with the Merit System Protections Board within 30 days of this. See you in court, probably, at some point." That's Walter Giardina. Now, we saw Peter Navarro was also, I think, celebrating this. Let's take a quick look and see what the latest is from Peter Navarro, because this is exactly right. He said, "Walter Giardina, this fella who just got nuked, ran my circus arrest at the Reagan airport." Remember that? Like, they could have just called his lawyer and he would have just showed up. They didn't. Peter Navarro's like 70-something years old. They had this like big, stupid show. Remember, outside the airplane? So dumb. But that's what these guys were up to. That's all they cared about. Slapped me in leg irons, Peter Navarro, lied to a grand jury, put me in prison, and tried to jail Trump in the Russia hoax. I got prison. He got fired. Time to investigate his weaponized ass. Let's go, Peter. Read about Giardina and more over here. Okay, so we're talking about good riddance to some bad people. Now, what's happening in response to this is the FBI's freaked, okay? The FBI Agents Association, the same people who I think we saw Norm Eisen was representing, one of his law firms, or Democracy. You know, there was a lawsuit that had two, I think, FBI groups. So the FBI agents not only are part of the FBI, which is arguably the biggest gang in the planet, you know, the like biggest domestic federal law enforcement agency in the world, coming after all of us for, I guess, protesting at schools, promoting pro-life policies, speaking out against COVID insanity. We were the ones who were the bad people. And then, of course, they prosecuted all the J6ers, most of whom were peaceful protesters who got shot in the face by the feds. But in addition to that, they then organized themselves as the various unionized associations that have to fight for them inside the government, okay? Because they don't get enough benefits and privileges with all of the power associated with being a Fed. So here is what they write, and this came over from Ken Delanian, who's like one of the biggest whiners at MSNBC. He says, FBI Association, Agents Association, this little organization they've got, is deeply concerned by reports that FBI special agents, case agents, and senior agents alike are going to be summarily fired without due process for doing their jobs investigating potential federal crimes. Cry harder. Agents are not given the option to pick and choose their cases, and these agents carried out their assignments with professionalism and integrity, just like the Nazis. Most importantly, they followed the law. We're just following the orders that have come down. There is a review process when employment actions are taken against agents. The process was established so the FBI could remain independent and apolitical. Well, you failed. The process has failed, obviously. We have Andy McCabe, Peter Strzok, James Comey, and all of them working hard. Walter Giardina, Stephen Jensen, Brian Driscoll, all going nuts to try to stop a political party because they're hacks, in my opinion. So it didn't work. So now the process is broken. We're not going to use it anymore. Thanks for playing. FBI leadership committed, both publicly and directly, to FBIAA that they would abide by that process. And we urge them to honor that commitment and follow the law. So you can't fire our partisan hacks. If these agents are fired without due process, I guess they're going to want, you can only fire agents if they're convicted of murder, just like illegal aliens. It makes the American people less safe. No, it doesn't. They make us less safe. They're the ones who waste resources and pervert justice. The FBI's reputation is so bad. It's never been as bad, right? People disdain it, and most government, because of their failed promises. Agents need to be focused on their work and not on potentially being illegally fired because of their assignments. FBI is actively reviewing all legal options to defend our members. Yeah, you should go hire Norm Eisen again. We will always have the backs of FBI agents. Yeah, because they're your friends and they're your partners in crime. Garrett O'Boyle, who is a whistleblower, said, funny, neither you nor the Feckless Agent Association gave a rip when whistleblowers' due process was stripped. When we exposed corruption inside the FBI, you didn't protect us at all, says Garrett, who went through this as a whistleblower, got fired. Now that 20% of my due process less suspension, he's not fired, suspended, is under this administration, will you write a story about it or not, right? And guys like Garrett O'Boyle, I don't know why they have not been addressed yet. Basically, any of the whistleblowers, I do know why, because they're blowing the whistle on the FBI. And so the FBI is not going to validate and bring back people who attack it, attack the institution, which is their institution, even though it deserves to be attacked for breaking the law, which is why the whistleblowers are exposing it. But again, if you want real reform out of the FBI, then you'd want to bring back all the whistleblowers. That would be a key sign that there's actual reform going on, right? The people who got attacked by the prior administration should be leading divisions of the new FBI and encouraging this type of behavior so that you can root out and disinfect the agency. So shout out to Garrett O'Boyle, and shout out to the lectern guy. Of course, he got attacked by the FBI on January 6th and prosecuted by the FBI and the DOJ in the aftermath. He says, learn to code, which is pretty complicated for them. They're FBI agents. So here is more on this. They also sent in another letter. Okay, so they're freaked. Group of former national security and FBI officials, they're issuing a warning. There's a purge going on in the FBI. They said here in another stupid letter, I guess from the Steady State. Did anybody sign this? Let's see if they signed it. The members of the Steady State. All right, so is this like a John Brennan organization or something? Here's what they write. An open letter to the men and women of the FBI from the Steady State, whatever that is, expressing support and alarm. We write to you as former members of the deep state, veterans of service, blah, and we are the Steady State. That name is just kind of really insulting. It's like, what? Your job is to keep us steady? Is that what this is? The Steady State has a Substack? It's a Substack is what this is? No, we don't want to subscribe. Yeah, it looks like this is their logo, the Steady State. Want freedom? The 2024 elections are all about freedom. 2023 article about veterans. Yeah, the Steady State also over here, it looks like on Substack. Veterans of the U.S. national security community concerned about the future of our nation. Wow. All right. So what's in their archives here? To help Ukraine is to help ourselves. Senator Tuberville is assaulting our national security. Security consequences of another Trump term. Okay. They're just anti-Trumpers and their Substack sucks. So, all right, that's them. Now we know who they are. We write to you as former hacks who hate Trump. We've worked across the globe at embassies, forward operating bases and all. Whatever the mission, we have integrity. We're professional. We're independent. We keep America safe. And so the recent removals of seasoned FBI leaders, most notably agents Brian Driscoll, who wrote apparently one of the most pathetic letters you've ever read, and also was clapped out of the FBI building. We love you, Brian. Because that's how the FBI agents are. They're so, I guess brainwashed into the cult of FBI. They made coins for that Brian Driscoll dude. Remember that? What would Driscoll do? They think he's Jesus. What would Driscoll do? They made a coin, like a challenge coin, passing it around. They're insane. And they're the ones enforcing the law for this dude. So he got fired, obviously. They appear part of a broader campaign to dismantle the FBI's longstanding independence, which it obviously doesn't exist. And so we are profoundly alarmed. The elevation of loyalists like Kash and Dan, who we're happy to see them firing and making some changes, are happening right now. And the second part of their letter says, we've seen these dynamics, and to our friends in the Bureau, we recognize the pressure you're under. Hold on tight. Trump will be gone in 3 years. We honor your service and sacrifices you've made quite quietly, honorably, often without recognition. Your integrity matters. Your courage matters. The nation is watching and will be inspired by the FBI in history. We'll remember. Like, if my boss wrote me a letter like that, wherever I was, I'd be like, this dude is like totally pathetic. What a stupid letter is this? Like, just shut up. Go. My job is to like go arrest pedophiles. Okay, I'm just going to go do that. Okay. You don't need to tell me. Like, I know I've got integrity. I know I'm acting honorably. I don't need to be puffed up by FBI people, but this is like what they do. Like, I'm not joking with you. And I dealt mostly with prosecutors and like local crimes. We didn't handle a lot of federal cases. I handled some federal cases, but mostly we didn't have FBI agents. We had local, state agents here who were doing most of the criminal investigations. But you would deal with, and the local cops weren't as bad as some of the FBI agents, but U.S. attorneys and prosecutors also have this same kind of vibe. And so FBI agents, I would analogize more towards like federal prosecutors in that regard, more so than local cops. Like, I think local cops have a different vibe to them. It's a whole different vibe. But prosecutors in particular, like a lot of local cops don't have a God complex. A lot of them do, don't get me wrong. But I would say a higher density and propensity of prosecutors and FBI agents have like this God complex. Like, they are saving the country. Like, they are enforcing justice. And I swear, I've talked about this a lot here, and it kind of sets me off. But like I've talked to prosecutors, or I've been at events, and like one of the best ones is when you're at legal events and you hear all the prosecutors like around the cocktail table talking about themselves. It's hysterical. They're all just so excited with what they're doing. And you're like, you prosecute misdemeanors in like a city court somewhere, like in a tiny little court. What are you talking about? You're prosecuting like urinating in public and like littering cases. Oh, wow. Criminal speed. People are criminally speeding through your thing. Oh my gosh, you're saving the whole world. It's like amazing, right? And even if they're like, okay, let's say, a Kilmar comes through and they let that person go. What good is that? So everybody else, right? Anyway, so you can hear me. Anyways, you can just hear me rant and rave about this because a lot of it feels like it's just like self-congratulatory platitudes from these people, which is what this letter is. You have so much integrity. You're so independent. You're so apolitical. Look in the mirror for 2 seconds. Have some self-awareness and understand what is going on. And here was another one from Michael Flynn. He's got other questions, right? Why are other FBI agents still there? Maybe Kash and Dan hasn't gotten around to it yet, but Flynn says, okay, Walter Giardina's gone. That's great. But this guy, Joseph Pientka, he's still employed. Is he a witness, a whistleblower, or a defendant? He says this guy sat across from Trump in August 2016 and me, pretending to deliver a national security briefing to us. He was actually running a dirty cop operation, part of Crossfire Hurricane. Then on January 24th, he walked into the White House to question me, knowing full well I had done nothing wrong. He'd already read the transcript of my call with the Russian ambassador. So what did he write in the original 302? A same one that he says I still have not seen. Michael Flynn, I can't even believe it. How is this man still employed by the FBI? I don't know. If Pientka doesn't come clean and blow the whistle, he should be investigated, not fired, and possibly fitted for an orange jumpsuit. Enough cover-ups, enough silence. Truth demands accountability. Tagging Kash, Dan, Trump, and Pam Bondi. From Michael Flynn. That's Michael Flynn, right? He's got 2 million followers over here. And we know who he is. He's been put through the ringer through these maniacs. And so he's got his eye on this fella. And apparently he's still at the FBI, hopefully not for long.